My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Maleficent Mistress of Evil. And nobody ever talks about this movie, so I didn't know what to expect from the story. I do know it received bad reviews, so my expectations were real low. And I gotta say, this movie isn't great. It's definitely flawed, but it's a big swing. And it's wild, and it's not what I expected. And I think I liked it. But let's begin by talking about the cast, and Angelina Jolie gives another very good performance. She just brings this gravitas to her character, and she did everything she needed to incredibly well. But I do wish she was in this movie more. Elle Fanning, I think, does a much better job here. There are some moments where she needed to be great, and boy, does she deliver. She brought much more to her character in this movie, I thought. Michelle Pfeiffer is just chewing up the scenery and she's just having a blast. She's so gleefully evil, and I liked what she brought to this movie. Sherto Ejiofor, I think, does a perfectly fine job. I just thought his character was really bland and forgettable. Ed Skrein, I actually thought, stood out. He just brought this menace to his character, and I liked him here. Sam Riley, I think, gives a better performance in this movie. He has a bit more to do, and he just seemed to have more personality here. Harris Dickinson replaces Brenton Thratz as Prince Philip's heel, and honestly, I probably wouldn't be able to tell. It's yet another bland performance for this bland character. Just doesn't stand out in any way, and I wish there was more focus on the romance between him and Aurora. Warwick Davies. It's nice to see him in this movie, and I thought he did a pretty good job. And then Leslie Manville, Juno Temple, and Imelda Staunton all give bad performances again. These characters don't feel distinct from one another, they don't stand out, and they're actually quite annoying. So, the cast is really good for the most part, and I just love how unexpected this story is. Like, the first Maleficent retold the story of Sleeping Beauty, but from a different perspective. But here, they had to come up with something completely new. And, like, this movie explores race and culture and genocide, and I wasn't expecting that. Like, I just wasn't. I was kind of caught off guard by what this movie was, and I do think it does a good enough job of doing everything it's trying to do. I think the last act is actually quite entertaining. It can be thrilling, it has weight behind it, and there's a couple real emotional moments. I also do think the visuals are pretty good. The CGI is once again hit or miss. It can look kind of fake every now and again, but I do think the highs of this movie look better than the highs of the original. I like the use of colors. I like how there's this bright floral look to the movie at times, contrasted by this dark and sinister look. I think the costumes look great in this movie. There's one dress especially that the queen is wearing near the end that I thought looked stunning. And the makeup is really good. So, yes, the movie is actually pretty decent. I thought the musical score by Geoff Zanelli was a giant step down. Like, I hate it when there's a sequel to a movie, and I like the music in the original movie, and the sequel just reuses the same music without doing anything new to it, and it just feels lazy. I hate that, I really do. But my big issue with this movie is that it should have been 90 minutes because the movie begins and it knows how to set up the story. The first act is great and well defined. The last act knows what it's trying to be and it's well defined. But it's that middle section where it's trying to do too much, it becomes messy, it becomes convoluted, it loses focus, and that second act is the big issue with this movie. Maleficent even isn't present in this movie much, and I just feel like if they tightened it up, focused it a little more, then it would have been a tighter, much more effective movie. And that issue is just so evident when you're watching it. But like the beginning and ending, all really good. My other issue is that the ending feels a little too neat and tidy. I hate it when characters die in movies, but they're brought back through some convoluted magic. Like, it can be done well every now and again, but when something happened here, I was just like, oh, that person is going to get brought back to life, of course, because why wouldn't they? And like, I don't know, when genocide is actually happening in this movie, and then 2 hours later there's a happy wedding, I don't know, I feel like you're kind of doing the heavy ideas of this movie a disservice. But that all said, this movie is wild. Like I said, it's a big swing, and it's not a home one. It is definitely flawed. It's a bit messy. It loses focus, but I still like everything this movie is trying to do. I think the cast does a pretty good job, and it definitely has its highlights. So I really do appreciate this movie. So I'm giving Maleficent Mistress of Evil a 6 out of 10. Okay, have you seen Maleficent Mistress of Evil? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.